Olivia, check the tires. Hey there, internet peoples. What's going on? It's Matt from Southern Motorworks, and give me just 1 second here. It's a little cramped. Okay, that's a little better. We can actually move around out here. So, welcome back to the channel. First thing, we're out here with our next project up in line. Now this, if y'all been following the channel at all, we kind of had a little teaser of it a while back in a short. And so we're finally getting around to it. We've had some other projects, you know, in line ahead of it and whatnot. So we're finally out here with what's going to be towing our project vehicles from now on, hopefully. This is Project German Tow. I know it's horrible. It's horrible. Horrible dad jokes, horrible puns, but it's catchy though, right? German Tow. Get it? Play on words there. Anyways. So this is our 2008 Mercedes-Benz GL320cdi, right? So, CDI, y'all notice that. So, this being a unibody Mercedes with the turbo diesel V6 in it, it's going to pull a heck of a lot better than our W163 over here. I think this is rated at like 7,500 pounds towing capacity versus my W163 is only rated at about 5,500. So, with the car hauler behind it and anything, you know, pushing 4,000 pounds on it, we're really right at the limit for the W163. So the old X164 here is going to have a lot more leeway, and plus the air conditioner works in this one, so that's, you know, primo down here in Florida. So this thing's we've had it for a few years, but it's had some electrical issues, electrical gremlins. If anybody's familiar with the W164 platforms or the X164 platforms, y'all know exactly what I'm talking about. The sunroof drains get clogged, the little tube for the sunroof drain gets dry rotted, it leaks, and then when it rains, the water goes straight back into the rear cabin on the right hand side, and it soaks the rear SAM unit. So now what is the rear SAM unit? It is the signal acquisition module, and basically what that does is it controls all sorts of functions in the vehicle. There's other acquisition modules throughout the vehicle too, but this particular one controls like tail lights and headlights, stuff like that. So it controls a whole mess of stuff, right? And whenever it gets soaked, the circuit board inside obviously gets, you know, corroded, rusted, whatever you want to call it, and things start going all sorts of friggin' haywire, right? So we've been fighting these electrical gremlins on this thing for a couple years now. Ever since we left Florida the first time, before we left Florida, originally from Sebring down yonder. And so she's been kind of set up. She set up in Maine for a little bit. She's been setting up here ever since we got back, just waiting to, you know, get in line for projects that needed to be fixed and whatnot. And that day is finally here. It's ready to get our, you know, big diesel SUV back on the road. So that being said, we got a brand new battery for her, and we have a brand new, I think it's actually a reman, but it's a new rear SAM to replace the old corroded one that we took out. Now this will involve, I do believe we're going to have to take it to a Benz dealership and have them put it on a star diagnostic tool to be able to flash the new SAM unit, all the info or whatever over from the old one, whatever. But I do believe if we plug it in now, the basic functions of the vehicle should function. So I'm pretty sure we'll be able to drive it, but I think certain things like seats or whatever, windows maybe, I'm not 100% sure. We'll get into it and figure it out, but certain functions won't function until you have it flashed over. But in the event that we can't drive it, we can always just throw it on the car hauler and drive it to the Benz dealership and get it flashed over, and then we'll go from there. So that being said, let's climb in there. And unfortunately, we have to climb inside the vehicle and install the rear SAM, because part of what is controlled by the rear SAM is the electric lift gate over here. So we have no way of unlocking the lift gate or opening it or anything like that that I know of. So we're just going to climb in through the rear passenger door, and we'll just install it from there. And then we'll get a hot battery in it, and we'll see what happens. Okay, so we're back inside the vehicle. We're going to try to make this quick because it is warm inside here. Goodness. So we've got our old SAM unit out here, and these are pretty well idiot proof to uninstall and reinstall. All of the little connections are different shapes and sizes and whatnot, so there's really no way to you know, install the wrong one in the wrong spot and things like that. Yeah, they're all completely different, so it's pretty well idiot proof. Okay, so we've got our new rear SAM here from MB Parts Direct. It's yeah, it is a reman unit, and the part number, if you're able to actually hunt down one that has the exact same Delphi part number as your original, I do believe it'll actually install and you won't have to worry about flashing anything over. But this is a reman, it has a slightly different part number, so I'm pretty sure we are going to have to take it somewhere with Star Diagnostic and get it flashed over. So unfortunately, I think the nearest Benz dealership to us here outside of Panama City, I think the nearest Benz dealership is like Dothan, Alabama or something. So we got like an hour ride to be able to get to a Benz dealership, but it is what it is. So like I said, brand new unit here, or brand new reman unit I should say. Thing looks nice and neat. So we'll get you down in here. You need a flashlight, I guess. So right down in here is going to be all your connectors and whatnot. And you see what happens is the sunroof drains down from up here. When it gets cracked, it drips straight down like this, straight down onto the rear SAM unit. So it gets soaked, gets corroded, no bueno. But it's all good because thankfully there is plenty of places you can get, you know, remanufactured parts, used parts, whatnot online for these old Benzes, even though they're a few years old. This one is actually in really great shape. It's only got like 160,000 miles on it, which is like nothing for a freaking diesel. There's a little bit of, you know, the Florida heat has kind of taken its toll on some of the interior pieces and whatnot, but it's really not all that bad. It's nothing you couldn't pick up at a U-Pull-It or, you know, eBay or something like that. The basic stuff inside here, the seats, you know, interiors, the rug, the carpeting, headliner's not in too bad a shape. Could use a little love on the back side here, but basically it's just little tidbits here and there that, you know, need a little love, need a little polish. But overall it's actually not too bad. The paint on the outside isn't bad. It shines up real nice. Everything runs friggin' tip top whenever it's running. It's just these electrical gremlins that kind of plagued us for, you know, a couple years now. So we're gonna get this in here and we'll see what's what. So I'm just gonna kind of pull these up here as much as I can and just start plugging stuff in. That's really all there is to it. Let's see. That one should go there, I do believe. Yep. There's one down, like 9 more to go. Now, like I said, these only go in one way, so it fits in there, doesn't fit in there. And then they have this cool little clip-in deal. If I can demonstrate it here. So you do that and it pushes the connection out so you can pull it out. And then when you need to push it back in, you just fold it like that and it tightens itself down. That one? Nope, not that one. I think that's for the amp that we pulled out because it got dripped on and was no longer working. Okay, I do believe that was everything. I think this spot here was actually empty. So everything else is plugged in, nice and tight. Everything else is plugged in, nice and tight. So now we'll go put the battery in. Oh. Whew, that's a big old battery. All right, so we got our brand new big old H8 battery here. This thing is it's quite stout. This thing is what is it? 950 cold cranking amps. That's a big boy. So anyway, all right, so this, unfortunately, it's kind of a pain. They go under the passenger seat, okay? Under the front passenger seat. And that's a lot of battery to stick under the front passenger seat. So the only way to get it on in there is to have the passenger seat all the way forward and all the way up. It's the only way it'll fit in there whatsoever. So we've already done that since the last time we messed around with this vehicle. I think whenever we had it shipped down from Maine, we did that so that we could put a battery in and out of it. But so we're gonna get the camera down in there so y'all can see a little better, and we'll get this shoved up underneath there. All right, so I don't know how good the view is gonna be here. Limited light, working on things after the day job in the afternoon, but it is what it is. Now, if I do recall, the ground post should be on this end, hot post on the opposite end. So all right, let me take a look here. Yeah, that looks right. We're gonna leave our little post covers on there for the time being, just so we don't have to worry about touching the hot post on anything that'll cause excitement under there. So yeah, it's not fun. Ask me how I know. You have to just shove it down in there like that, and then rock it forward. Maybe. Possibly. If we're lucky. There we go. It's kind of a pain to get it in there, I'm not gonna lie. Alright. So now, get our ground cable, and there should be off to the side a little, yeah. Let me get y'all in here a little better. So whenever you're hooking these up, you want to make sure that you hook up not only your ground cable, this little guy here hooks onto the side of the ground cable too, right? So ground cable is going to go, oh, I need to set my phone up better. There we go. So your ground cable is going to go on there just like this. All right, turn it so you can get it to it a little better there, and don't drop that little guy down in there. This little dude clips on this little clip right there, okay? Just like that. This cable, this little one right here, goes to your auxiliary battery. This little dude right here, see? Clips on, just like that. Just pushes on. And that's your auxiliary battery connection. Now, I'm pretty sure the auxiliary battery in this vehicle is dead too. We're not going to worry about that right this second. We're just worried about the main battery and getting it connected to be able to see what sort of functions are going to work or not work. So we're probably going to get the little white battery symbol on the dashboard. Red battery symbol is your main battery or alternator, something with a charging system. White battery symbol on the dashboard is your little auxiliary battery, but it will run with that being dead, so it's all good right now. We are going to grab like a 10mm socket real quick, make this a little faster for us. Okay, so we got us a 10mm ratchet wrench and a socket. Let's see which one works better for us. Probably the socket. Like always, don't over tighten. This ground cable on here always seems to not get very tight. Probably just needs a new end on it. Okay, now our hot cable way up in there. Now if I can find the hot cable. Oh yeah, there it is. Okay. Alright, all ready? I'm going hot. Oh, I hear clickage. Listening for anything to go haywire. My work light's dying. I don't hear anything going bad. Be careful with this whenever you're doing it with this hot cable, because there's a metal pole right there. It's part of the seat bracket. Not very wise placement from Mercedes for this battery, for safety's sake, but I digress. Okay, all right, we're all connected. Let's go topside, try to start the old girl. All right, now before we go any further, first off, we're gonna get this is just some diesel fuel treatment, some Lucas. We're gonna get some of this and spill about half of it on the ground. Anyway, so before we go any further, I'm going to take and put some of this in this diesel fuel that's in here, because this diesel fuel is like 2.5 years old. Okay, now, I mean, it's not gasoline, it's not as bad, you know, running stuff on old diesel fuel, but still, it's not, you know, advisable. We don't know what the quality was, we don't know what the quality is right now, so to speak. So that being said, we're going to pour a little bit in the old girl here. Well, that had some pressure on it. We're going to pour a little bit in the old girl here, just kind of make sure we're not starting her on anything too bad. So don't want to spill a bunch of this on the paint. See, the old girl, she's pretty dirty and dusty again. We washed her off in that short. Got everything, that should be good. Got everything cleaned up in that short, because we didn't want her sitting like that for too awful long. And then we parked her back up here in the carport, and it's protected from the elements pretty good. But she's definitely susceptible to the dirt and dust and whatnot from being out here in the garage. So, but we'll get her washed and waxed and whatnot, looking good again. So that's all added in there. Should help us not run any super old and wore out diesel fuel through it. So now, that being said, we're going to climb on inside, try to fire the old girl up, and make sure everything's good to go. We are going to pop the hood just so that I can hear that engine noise and, you know, make sure everything's kosher and whatnot. You'll have to excuse the poor lighting. The hood is actually blocking the main light bulb that's up there, so we're just gonna got some, you know, battery powered lights. Just gonna have to be good enough. All right, so y'all hold tight. We're gonna prime the fuel pump a couple times. That old girl fires up like now. You want to get in there and rev it a couple times? All right, so as y'all can hear, she's running good. Fired right up with zero problems. So it's running good. So now the big question is, if the lights and whatnot are all fixed. Let's see. Or if we're gonna have to have it flashed in order to get that working again. Hit the brakes one time. All right, turn the headlights off and on. Turn them back on. How about your high beams? Okay. Yep, fog lights are working.
Hey, what about the back light?
Okay, so from the looks of it, everything's functioning, but we cannot get the lift gate to work here for some reason. We'll monkey around with it a little bit and kind of check it out and whatnot. It may be just a motor crapped out on it or something. I'll get the old test light out and we'll hunt it down and make sure it's getting power to it and whatnot. I'll talk to some other folks online and you know, look into it and see if that's one of the common things that doesn't work before you've had the rear SAM flashed over. But the old girl is freaking running again. The lights are working freaking properly, which was the biggest issue why we couldn't drive it before, because it had either like one headlight would work, or one brake light would work, or one tail light would work. It was always the lights, the lighting. So it was pretty much impossible, because you'd be driving down the road and you'd never know when one of the headlights was going to go out, or sometimes both the headlights would go out. So this is a drastic improvement. She's running friggin' perfect. Sitting here idling. I mean, we haven't driven this thing for more than, you know, 10 minutes in the past 3 years, and just running perfect. I mean, she smells a little like old diesel, but you know, it's all good. It'll clear out all the DPF system and everything. The whole exhaust system is still OEM factory intact on this vehicle, so all that'll just clear out after a while. It'll do a couple regen cycles or something like that, I think, but I'm not super familiar with that stuff. But it's running friggin' perfect. It's running perfect. All the lights are working. I'm ecstatic. Couldn't be happier with it. So I mean, at this point we could realistically drive it to the Benz dealership in order to get it flashed over. So it's all good. I'm super happy with where we're at. So we'll call it good there for the night. Tomorrow we'll get her out, get her all washed up, take her for a spin, and yeah, we'll put the old diesel back on the road, getting her ready to be towing our future projects home and whatnot here at Southern Motor Works. So again, I'd like to introduce y'all to Project German Tow. All right, so it's a new day with the GL320 here, Project German Tow. Truth be told, it's like, what, 2 months later? Month later, something like that. It's a little while later. We had a bunch of issues, difficulties with the title work, trying to transfer it from Maine back down here to Florida. Finally got that sorted out. So she's up and running again. We're gonna drive her down to the gas station now, put some fresh diesel in there. I got some diesel clean we're gonna dump in the tank, kind of get her up and running, and start driving her, you know, back and forth to the day job or something here. Try to get some miles back on the old girl before we hook a trailer to her and start towing things home. So we'll get the camera set up in here, and y'all can ride with us down to the gas station real quick. All right, so first ride down to the gas station here. Everything seems to be working so far. We need some air in the tires. For some reason the driver's front high beam is out. Hoping that doesn't have anything to do with that SAM unit issue that we had with it. It's shifting fine, running fine. Power steering pump's a little noisy. Might have to get a new one of those. Oh yeah, the old power steering pump is hollering under there. Of course, it could be like the situation with the C230. Maybe it just needs to work down into the system again, and you know, then we'll refill it after it's drained down a little bit into there.
Yeah.
We'll see, I guess. Tire pressure. Check tires. It's in bright red. That means it's super important. Super important. Olivia, check the tires. Brakes are, you can tell that they're old, but they're not super bad though. I mean, they work, so. All right, there's 50. Still feels all right. Yes, I know our vehicle's filthy. She's been set up for like 2 years. In the front yard in Maine and the garage here in Florida. Ugh. A little bouncy. Little bouncy.
Just a little bit.
Yeah. All right. All right. 10 gallons of gas or diesel. $35 for 10 gallons of diesel. Goodness. That's still cheaper than the $3.92 I think we paid for 93 octane today. If we start driving this, it'll technically be cheaper on fuel than driving our dailies that we drive right now, because one's a turbo and the 430 is just high strung, so she gets the 93 octane, you know. All right, good to go. I think the AC could use a charge. It's kind of cool, but it definitely ain't cold, that's for sure. Are you ready? Well, that friggin' diesel torque, man. Still scoots pretty good, huh? That friggin' torque whenever you put your foot in the floor from a turbo diesel is definitely different than a gas job. All right, so first successful test drive on the old GL320 there. We've got a couple things to work out on it. We need to make sure the tires are gonna round back out, and we got some diesel clean we're gonna dump in her and try to, you know, make sure the fuel system's cleaned out and everything. We just put 10 gallons of fresh diesel in it, so that'll definitely help. We need to figure out why the left high beam ain't working. Everything else works on it fine. The power steering too, we got to figure out why that power steering's still whining, but everything else is functioning fine. We're gonna throw some new brakes on her and whatnot, but for now that's gonna be it. First successful test drive, so we'll go on inside, call it a night for the night. Got home late from the day job today, and we got the day job tomorrow still, so tomorrow afternoon we'll get back after it and continue on getting our tow project up to snuff here. All right, so we're back out here with the GL320cdi. So we are going to be putting some new brakes on it today. Our brake pad wear sensor started freaking out on us as soon as we, started driving it the other day. So we're going to throw some new pads on it, and that should solve that. And then we're just going to be working on sealing up that rear SAM unit, try to keep it from ever getting exposed to any kind of water again. So we got some good Rebestos brakes here. Element 3 is the pads. These are going to be for, I think these are for the rear, I do believe, because they're smaller. There's going to be your part number right there. It's going to be PGD1122M. And then we've got the same ones for the front. Yeah, these are definitely the front ones. Much bigger. Part number is going to be PGD1272M. Alright. Good quality pads from Rebestos there. I've used them before in the past. I run Brembos on the 430, but we got these on a deal from Rock Auto, so I've used them in the past, and their asbestos pads are, you know, just as good, if not better, than anything you're going to get at your local parts store there. So let's go ahead and get it jacked up. We'll start on the passenger side here with the front tire. Actually, before we jack it up, go ahead and try to get these lug bolts loose. I expect these will probably be stuck on there pretty good. They haven't been off in like 3 years, so. Yeah. Yep, that's what I figured, so. Okay, we'll use the breaker bar on it. It was definitely on there. Alright, let's go ahead and finish getting it lifted up. Goodness gracious. Okay, should be able to use the impacts now. Surely. Hopefully these aren't stuck to the hub. Oh no, that's alright. Not bad at all. I don't even remember what size these tires are. 255/60/19s. Pretty good sized tire and wheel there. Get y'all in there. You can see this was the airbag conversion that we did on her. Got rid of the leaking airbags. Went to a, oh my light's dying. Went to a old school kind of coil spring setup there. Not too bad at all. This thing looks to be pretty good. Didn't incur too much rust. Didn't incur too much rust while we was up north there. Not too bad at all. Alright, so what we're going to be working on here is going to be the brake caliper. Alright. Alright, so the first thing we're going to be doing here is pulling the our little dust covers off the ends of where our Allen head bolts are here that hold the caliper on. It's these little plastic dust covers that fit in the little rubber sleeve here to keep dust and whatnot out. Any dirt and grime from getting in the head of the bolt there. Okay, so we're back again. Took us a little bit. We had to hunt down the proper size hex heads for this. It's a 9mm up front here, and I think on the back side it's like a 7mm. So over here again with our vintage Craftsman 3/8 drive. Oh, what in the world? Feels like it's slipping. Alright, so now what you're going to want to do is either take like a small pry bar or a flat blade screwdriver or something like that. Go what you're going to do is just kind of get in behind here and, oh, well, actually, shoot, you know what? Before we do that, I need to leave one of them slide pins a little threaded. Okay. Because what we're going to do before we pop it off completely here, I'm going to take your little retainer clip off, just like that. And now, what you want to do is just push in here like this here, and squeeze that caliper in just a little bit. Just so it'll, be careful not to mess up your brake disc or anything, but it'll just give you a little bit of room to take it off like so. All you're doing is just compressing the piston on the caliper slightly, just to get you some room. Okay, that should be plenty. So now we can go back and remove that slide pin all the way. Okay, now what I was saying was take either your small little pry bar or something like that. Let me get you in there, see if you can see a little better. You'll see here where the that's where the slide pin comes through like this and threads into the caliper here. What you want to do is just kind of squeeze it like this here. We may have to use the flat blade. And you just want to kind of catch the threads slightly of those slide pins so that you can push them out a little bit, because otherwise they will get caught up on the caliper and fight you as far as getting the caliper off the rest of the way. There we go, just like that. I'll do that with the bottom half. Alright, we're ready to go. Just like that. Put those off there. Oh, you know what, before we do that, pull our wear sensor out of there. Like that. Now we can put that brake. Okay. We're gonna set this caliper on our. There we go. Just to support that caliper so it ain't hanging by the brake line there. Got a little bit of wear on that rubber line there. We may have to replace these rubber lines before too long. It's just a small rubber line that runs from the caliper up to the mount on the frame there. Anyway, so we'll have to finish squeezing these calipers together the rest of the way. I don't think they got much more to go there, but we'll put them on a C-clamp real quick. Alright. Everything else looks pretty good. Like I said, seems like we didn't incur a whole lot of rust while we were up north there. Not on this one. We didn't drive it a whole lot up there. Unfortunately, I spent most of its time sitting in the driveway with these electrical issues with the rear SAM unit and everything. So everything else seems to have held up pretty well. Right on. That's good. Good to see that. Alright, so we got our Ray-Bustus pads here. Right here working at night in the carport next to the house. Let me turn my tunage off for a minute. Right here working in the carport next to the house. Got no more daylight left, so we're out here just trying to get her done. Been a little bit since we were out here. I think the last time we were out here at night working on something was whenever we were trying to lift the Volvo our P2 XC70 there over the previous winter there, back in like January. But anyway, got us a little bit of light here. That's all we need, right? Definitely got to get some more lights in this carport, though. I'm gonna tell you what. But anyway, so we got our new pads here. These are gonna be the side with the little spring loaded, deals there. That goes into the pistons on the brake caliper there. We'll show you in a second. The side with nothing on it there goes to this side. Real quick before there wasn't a lot of wear on these, so I'm wondering if it's wondering if that wear pad sensor was one of the other calipers or something. There's not a lot of wear on these whatsoever there. There you go. It's hard to see. Hold on. Not a lot of wear. That's the brand new one on the right, and or brand new one on the left and the old one on the right. Not a lot of wear, so not sure what's up with that, but we'll see when we get into the next calipers, I reckon. Alright. Alright, so one extra step that we are going to do while we're under here is, so these little portions right here and right here, this is what the brake pad slides on, like so, whenever you press and depress the brake pedal. So we're going to clean these up. We'll hit them with a little brake parts cleaner and some grease before we're done here. Probably best not to breathe this. Spritz it with a little brake parts cleaner. Let that dry off. Get our little grease gun here. Make sure there's no garbage in the tip of it. And then just put you just a little. Don't need a whole lot. Just a little dab on there. All you need. Just a little bit like that. Alright. That's it. This is also going to help it's also going to help make sure that we don't have any squeaks and stuff like that whenever we put this thing back together. Alright, so before we go ahead also, but we'll hit this with a little wire brush there just to clean everything off. Pistons still look pretty good though. Not ate up with rust inside there or anything like you usually see with brakes up north. Not too shabby. We'll put a little bit of grease just on the face of the piston there. Make sure we don't have any squeaks or anything going on when we put our brake pads back on. Again, those are going to go right there. And actually, we're going to take and apply just a little bit of grease to these little portions right here on the new caliper, or the new brake pad rather. These are just the metal on metal surfaces that, rub on each other whenever they're operating. We're going to place just a little bit on the back side, a little coating, just like that. That's all you need. Alright. I'll make sure nothing squeaks on the back side of this one also. We'll take our new caliper here with our new brake pad here. I'm going to do the same thing for the inner portion. Just a little bit of grease on the little contact surfaces here. all you need, just a little bit. You don't want to gob it on there because then it tends to gather up dust and dirt and whatnot. And then lastly, I'm just going to rub some just around like where the pistons usually go, or the pistons usually contact rather. And that'll just ensure that this one again, that we don't have any squeaks or anything like that going on whenever they're operating. Now we can take our caliper, insert our new brake pad in there, maybe. There we go. Alright, we'll get just a hair more grease on our caliper here. We kind of rubbed a bunch off fighting it to get it on there. We'll reapply some of that. Well, looks like we're not going to have to squeeze our caliper together anymore. Guess when we took those first ones off, they were far enough in already. Well, something's fighting us on the back side here. We'll get you back around on this side and see. Looks like something is kind of fighting us along this back side here. Clean up these portions here real quick. See if maybe that's what's stopping it. Now, so I put our caliper back on and see what happens here. Can't tell if our holes are lining up here or not. They don't seem to be. What is going on that is stopping it? Slight issue. So it would appear as though it didn't stipulate whenever I ordered these from Rock Auto. I probably should have double checked, but it is what it is. So yeah, I don't know what the different sizes are, but these GL320s, or if it's just the GL in general, came with different size brake discs depending on specific model, and we were sent the ones for the bigger brake discs. So these will not actually fit on our brake discs. So we're going to have to stow these for later on. Maybe we can use them on a different project or something. That's super disappointing, but I guess the good news is there's really nothing wrong with these pads. There's a ton of life left on them, as y'all can see. So we're just going to reinstall the old ones for now, and we'll go around to all of them. We'll see if our rears are going to work or not, and see if we can figure out why we're getting a brake pad wear message on there. Yeah, see if maybe one or the other, maybe the rears are super worn out or something. But for now, we're just going to go on ahead and put these old ones back on the front, and they got plenty of life left in them still. Get our caliper bolted back on here. Make sure your wear pad sensor wiring isn't in there so you can pinch it. Okay, plug in your wear pad sensor again. Or pad wear sensor, I should say. One thing we are going to do is clean, if I can get them out of there. We're going to clean and re-grease our slide pins here. So what you want to do is just make sure that you clean all the old grease off. We'll hit it with a wire brush real quick, and then we'll put some fresh grease on them, put them back in. Clean it off. Hit it with the old wire brush. Alright, you should feel no burrs, or ridges, or anything like that on there. Get us some fresh grease. Just a nice, fairly thin layer all over the outside of it. Just like that's what you're looking for. Now, we reinsert that. Alright, now let's move on to the next caliper bolt, slide pin, whatever you want to call it here. That's all there is to it. This is a step that a lot of folks seem to forget or skip over or whatever whenever you're doing brake jobs. And these side pins will 100% hang up a caliper and make it smoke a brake pad if they're not moving freely. So you definitely want to, it's something that doesn't take a lot of effort, doesn't take a lot of time, but it will save you frustration and money in the long run. Well, there we go. Alright, so we'll go ahead and move on to the passenger side rear here, and we'll see maybe that's where our pad wear sensor is freaking out on us. Don't forget to install your little rubber caps over your caliper bolts there. And your retainer here goes in here just like this. That's just a deal that's supposed to keep the caliper from coming off where the bolt's not there or something, I think, but give it a little tap. Okay, that's all set. Alright, so like I said, we'll go on ahead and move on to the rear and see if perhaps that's where the issue is at that's causing us to get our pad wear sensor message on the dashboard. Alright, so we're on the back side here, on the passenger side. So what we're going to do now is go ahead and pop this tire off, take a look at the brakes in here. We have some new pads. Since we got the wrong size for the front, I don't know if the back's going to fit or not either, but we'll see here in just a second, I guess. So we'll pop the back side off and see if maybe the rears are worn out, and that's why we're getting our brake pad wear, message on the dashboard there. What's up, buddy?
On Facebook, it said this address is taken and buying palmetto berries.
No, it wasn't me, man.
Oh,
I just turn wrenches, bud.
Okay. Alrighty.
That was a little strange visit. Somebody looking to sell palmetto berries. I guess they use them for all sorts of medicinal purposes and whatnot, but I don't. Alright, so all we're going to be doing, same thing as the front side, taking our little dust covers off of our caliper bolt openings here, or slides, whatever you want to call them, slide pins. And there we go, our little plastic covers like that. These have been on there for a good long minute. Last time I pulled these apart was in Sebring. Alright. Oh, that's right. It should be a 7mm, I do believe, for the back side here. I do believe. Yep, 7mm. So 7mm on the back side, 9mm on the front side. That's for your caliper bolts, slide pins, whatever you want to call them. Just at first glance, I can tell you it doesn't look like these brake pads are in any kind of bad shape either. You know, I'm kind of wondering, I seem to recall, I could be completely wrong on this, but I guess I could lower that down on the control arm for now, just for safety's sake here. Just like that. Always better to have multiple points of lift on a vehicle rather than just depending on one spot or another. I seem to recall in Sebring, perhaps I put the brakes on it and I never replaced the pad wear sensors. So I'm wondering if our pad wear sensors are freaking out just because I never replaced them. Well, you know, how she goes sometimes, bud. Sometimes she goes, and sometimes she don't. You know why? Because that's how she goes. Alright, now, let's compress these calipers just a hair so we can get these loose. There we go. Pull our little keeper off of there. Maybe. Or it could just be that I'm completely doing it the wrong way. There she goes. Alright. What in the world is that in there? Oh, I guess I just broke off the tip of it a little bit. Oh, it'll be alright. Alright. Yeah, just like I thought. So these brake pads have plenty of life left in them. So, oh yeah, ton of friggin' life left on them. They're not glazed either. So, what we'll do is the same thing we did on the front side. Go ahead and clean these up a little bit, throw some new grease on them, and make sure that they're operating properly, re-grease or clean and re-grease our slide pins and everything, and then we'll call it good. I guess I'll have to order up some brake pad wear sensors, and we'll just go on ahead and replace those, and that should cure our little warning light on the dashboard, I reckon. Alright, most of it cleaned up there. Hit with a little brake parts cleaner. Alright. Let that dry a second while that's drying. While that's drying, we'll go ahead and pull our slide pins out so we can get them all cleaned up. Alright. They're not super bad. They just need to be cleaned up good and re-greased and whatnot. Alright, little spritz of the brake parts cleaner there. Wipe them off with a rag. Alright, those are ready to get some fresh grease on them and be reinstalled. First though, I am going to see if we did manage to get the right brake pads for the rear. Let's take a look here. Where's my old ones? Yep, it looks like we did get the right ones for the rear. As you can see, they match up 100%. So, we'll probably go ahead and, we're in here, why not? We might as well go on ahead and replace them with the new ones, I reckon. Yep. We'll go on ahead and replace these with the new pads that we got, because we're in here, we might as well. So, let's get the old one out of there. Oh, daggone it, I forgot to take the sensor off. These little sensors here, right in here, they just pull straight up like that. We'll unplug it so I can show you a little better there. They just pull straight up off of the, just like that, off the brake pad. So then we'll get our new one, and we will reinstall our little metal clip there on the new one. Actually, it goes on, yeah, that's right, it goes on the wear pad sensor first. Just like that. And that plugs into our caliper. Actually, before we clean up that little bit of surface rust off that piston face there. They incurred a little bit of rust while he was up north, nothing super bad. And then what we'll do, take just a little bit of grease and put it right on the face of that piston there. That'll make sure it doesn't get froze up against the brake pad or incur any more rust or anything. And then go ahead and take our new brake pad, install it in there, plug our pad wear sensor back in, and get our other brand new one here. Same thing we did on the front. Just a little dab of grease on the contact areas, just to make sure that we don't get any noises, stuff like that. Set that in there. Same thing on our side that's on the caliper already, just on the contact areas. Alright, I'm going to reinstall that. Alright. Now, our slide pins, we're going to take and rub a thin layer of grease on them, just like we did on the front. What that's going to do is just ensure that our brake caliper applies and releases smoothly whenever you press the brake pedal. Now, where is, catch it, another 7mm hex head. Make sure that gets lined up properly. Indeed it is. And for the bottom, There it goes. Alright. Use our 3/8 ratchet here. Feel the bottom out, give it a little shove past that. Back up to the top. Alright, that is all set. That's the next side done. Alright, that's that side all done. And go ahead and, oh, don't forget to reinstall your little keeper there. Oh yeah, it helps too if you're installing it the correct way. Alright, that is good to go. Let's get our tools gathered up a little here. Our old brake pads. And we'll hold on to these brake pads because there's absolutely nothing wrong with them really. So these will now be backups. Don't forget to reinstall your little caps over your slide pin dust covers. Rubber boots. Perfect. Alright. Now, some pretty good sized tires here on the old GL. Is that 255, I think 255/60 19. These are a Falcon Wild Peak all-terrain. Should get her new lug nuts. These are pretty rusty on the top and stuff. Alright, there we go. That side done. So now we'll flip our lights and everything, head on over to the driver's side, start undoing that stuff. Alright, so we're over here back on the driver's side. We've brought everything over. We're going to go ahead and tackle the brakes on this driver's side. But seeing as how you already watched us do it on the passenger side over there, what we're going to do is just go on ahead and speed this up, and we'll, you know, bust this one out real quick before we move on to the next task with the old GL320 here. So y'all know what that means. Cue the music. All right, so we've got all the brakes and everything 10 to 2 all the way around it. We got some pad wear sensors on order, so those will be here and we'll install them real quick. But for right now, what we're going to do is go on ahead and move on to the oil change. So this thing takes 9 quarts of oil, and we'll show you what all oil and oil filter we're going to be using here in a second. But first we got to get under the front of it here and drain out our 9 quarts of oil that's in there right now. That oil's been in there since we first moved to northern Maine like 3 years ago, so it's definitely time to change it. So we'll get you under there as best we can, but it's kind of tight quarters. All right, so like I said, it's pretty tight quarters in here. What you're going to be looking for under the front of the engine is this right here. Not that over there. That's your oil level sensor, I believe. This right here is your drain plug. So that's what you're going to want to be undoing. All right, so we'll try to shed as much light as we can on this here, but again, it's a little difficult. Got to get our drain pan under there, because like I said, this thing's going to be 9 quarts of oil come out of here. Okay, so got to get past the stupid little absorbent diaper friggin' thing they've got around the oil drain plug here. Yeah, looks like it's a 17 mil. Hopefully this doesn't give us any trouble, because last time that we did the oil change on this, it felt like the threads was getting a little soft in this oil pan here, so, you know, wish us luck. Really wish I could get that freaking diaper thing out of the way a little bit more there. Make sure we got this drain pan positioned correctly. Alright, here she goes. Once it stops draining, we'll take a look at the threads on the bolt here and the inside of the oil pan, and you know, just kind of get an idea of what we're dealing with there, and see if it looks like the threads are going out on us. But for now, let's get back up topside, clean our hands off this nasty old diesel oil. Alright, so we're back up here topside, just cleaning off our oil drain plug. As you can see there, little tiny oil drain plug for such a big engine, you know, but didn't really seem to be leaking any kind of oil or anything. We definitely did not have this very tight, and like I said, I think that was because last time it felt like the threads was about to give out on the drain pan, or the oil pan there, so that would have been disastrous. So what we'll do now is go on ahead and move over to the top side here while we're draining underneath, and we'll undo this oil filter and get ready to put us a new filter in there. Alright, so we're going to be undoing our oil filter here, and just like every good Mercedes, it's right up here on the top of the engine. So we're just going to take our, you know, trusty old rubber strap wrench here and try to bust this thing loose. There you go. That's all it usually takes. These things usually aren't very tight at all. If they are, then either they've been on there for quite some time, or the previous person severely over tightened it. Ooh, that is nasty. Oh, goodness gracious. You never get used to just how filthy the diesel oil is compared to gasoline oil. I mean, just the blackest oil you can imagine. That's what diesel oil smells like and is like. Look at that. Come on. Alright, we'll set that up over there off to the side for a minute. Now, get a pair of pliers here. We'll try to manhandle this old filter into some plastic here or something. Try to avoid making a ginormous mess, I guess. Alright, well, I mean, it ain't the worst looking oil filter. I mean, it's been in there for a while, but don't look bad. So we will seal that up, keep from making a mess with this god-awful oil. And that's what she's looking like down in there. Not too bad. Those are bubbles, not shimmery stuff, just for the record. But yeah, normal kind of, you know, diesel oil. So alright, so while we're up here, we'll go on ahead and just take care of our oil filter housing here and a new filter. Alright, so don't forget to pull your old O-ring off and replace it around your oil filter housing here, just like that. Now, for replacement, we're going to be using a MAN filter from Germany. I mean, would y'all expect anything else at this point? Part number is going to be HU821X. That's going to be for all of these 3-liter turbo diesel V6s. I do believe pretty much all of the OM642s, I think, take this one. I could be wrong, but if you go to MAN's website, you can actually type in the part number and check applications for it anyway. Oh, and you know what? Actually, almost messed up there. Yep. Right on the tip, this right here, there is another O-ring that we got to replace. I forgot all about it until I seen it in the little gasket set there that comes with the new oil filter. Alright, so we got our new O-rings here. Careful not to lose that little one. We'll put that one on first just so we don't lose track of it. Like that. Good to go. Now our big one is going to go down around the base of the oil filter cap in that little channel, and you're good to go. Now, y'all know what I always do. Irritates half the internet, pleases half the other half of the internet. Take a little bit of your old oil and just use it to lube up that new O-ring. Make sure it seats nice and tight whenever you put it back in there. Alright. Now on these oil filters, I don't believe there's a top and bottom. They're the same either way. So I always just put the writing at the top there, made in Germany. You should hear that thunk whenever it seats down on there all the way. Should look just like that right there. Alright, go on ahead and reinstall that into our engine. We'll throw our strap wrench on there in the opposite direction. Just give her just a little, and you'll see it move just a hair. That's all you need. Good to go. Alright. Clean up our mess here. Use the box for our old oil filter. Try to keep that from getting all super nasty. Now that that's taken care of on the top side, we should be done draining on the bottom side. So what we'll do is pop back down there and try to go ahead and reinstall our drain plug, and fingers crossed that we don't strip out any threads or anything. We should be just about done dripping down here. Oh, that's a lot of oil. to take a look inside the threads there and kind of see why it felt like we were going to strip them last time. Don't really see anything that would indicate we were going to strip them. Okay, we'll get our lighting, try to set back up here as best we can. Make sure our drain plug's good and clean there. Try to reinstall this here and hope for the best, I reckon. Again, like I'm always preaching, y'all, you know, it ain't got to be tightened down a whole heck of a lot there to be able to seal it and do its job. So, alright, that's finger tight. So all we're going to do now, try to give it just a little tiny snug. Okay, that was about a quarter turn to snug. That should be good. Threads are fine. What we'll do is drive it around, you know, we'll put her through her paces here locally and everything. Make sure nothing's gonna drip before we take it on any kind of long trips or anything to pick up vehicles, you know what I mean? But I mean, I put about a quarter turn on it after it was snug, so that should be perfectly fine. Alright, good to go. Let's go back topside now. Goodness, that's a bunch of oil. Alright, so we're back topside. We managed to not strip out the threads on the oil drain plug there, so, you know, it's a good job. So, all we got left to do, we've got our So all we got left to do, we've got our old oil filter out, our new oil filter in, it's all sealed up, brand new O-rings. We got our old oil drained out and our oil drain plug put back in, reinstalled without stripping threads. And so the only thing we got left to do now, fill it up with 9 quarts of fresh oil. So y'all already know what we're going to be using, Mobil 1, right? So we've got some ESP 0W30. I wanted to talk for a second about this this oil here. This is emission systems protection. So what that means is it's like a low ash sort of oil, I guess. So these engines tend to have a tiny bit of oil in the combustion process whenever they run, and so if you're using a normal non DPF appropriate oil, what's going to happen is that oil is going to end up in your exhaust system, and over time it's going to fry the DPF and everything. So this is literally the same price as the regular oil, so if you're going to run 10W40 in it or something like that, just do yourself a favor and get the ESP. It's the same friggin' price, and then this way you know that your DPF system and everything will be perfectly fine and protected, and you're not going to have to worry about replacing all that, because that is a ton of friggin' money. So, like I said, we've got our Mobil 1 ESP 0W30 full synthetic oil here, and what you want to look for on the back is, well, for ours anyway, is the Mercedes-Benz approved for Mercedes-Benz spec 229.52. all right, so this one actually meets 229.31, 0.51, and 0.52. So we technically, I guess, run this even in like the 430 or something, but we run the 0W40 in that one just for the extra weight, 'cause she's old, you know. So all right, so we're going to be pouring our 9 quarts of fresh Mobil 1 oil right here on the right hand side of the engine, or well, left hand side if you're facing the engine, on the passenger side, that's what we're trying to say. So that's what you're looking for right there. Going right in here. We've got our giant makeshift funnel. So this is going to be one 5-quart jug like this, plus 4 more quarts out of another 5-quart jug like this to give us our 9 quarts. All right. We'll pour a few quarts in there and then just double check on the bottom side and make sure our drain pan ain't leaking. All right, let's double check down there. looking good. Don't see any kind of leaks. Continue pouring. Alright, there we go. Right at about 1 quart left in there. Double check one more time for leaks. Alright, so we're good to go. No leaks on the bottom side there. Get off our makeshift funnel for next time. Wipe off our underneath an oil filler cap here. Alright, good to go. Double check the level. Really hasn't settled down in there enough just yet to get an accurate measurement. Yeah, there she goes. Right at the tip. Right at the tip of the full mark there. Right at the base where it says full. Perfect. That's what we're looking for. Alright, so that's our oil change done. Managed to avert any disasters with the drain plug down there, so that's a good thing. So now what we'll do is when we get home from the day job tomorrow, we'll pull her outside and make sure the engine's going to run fine and everything, make sure all our electronics are still working. We got to figure out a way to seal up that SAM unit over there. We've cleared the sunroof drain, but I just want to make doubly 100% sure that, you know, it's not gonna, you know, have any water get into it ever again. So we're gonna figure out a way to seal that up permanently, semi-permanently, and then we'll get the old girl out there in the yard, give her a nice bath, wash it, and get ready to start putting her back into service here. All right, so y'all hold tight. We'll see you tomorrow. Alright, so now that we've got the brakes all sorted on the old GL320 here, we're just going to be moving on to a couple sort of small details before we take her out here, drag her out in the yard, and wash her real good. So one of the things we're going to be doing is trying to protect that rear SAM unit as much as possible. If any of y'all know, these X164s and W164 platformers and whatnot, they are horrible about leaking through the sunroof drains and stuff, and then it drips down or like through the seal in the passenger side rear taillight lens here. Water gets in there, gets into the SAM unit, fries it, and it's done. And then you're spending another $400 or $500 on a new SAM unit. So what we're going to do, we've cleaned out the sunroof drain, we've sealed things up and whatnot, but just to make 100% sure that nothing ever happens again in the future, what we're going to be doing is just simple, putting a dry bag around the SAM unit. So how these work, they're just waterproof. It's just a simple bag. I think this one probably be big enough. I don't know. There's a few different sizes, but maybe we'll just go with the biggest one straight off here. So we're just going to put this around it. It has little straps and whatnot that hook together and seal up, and you fold it down like this here. So obviously you don't want to seal it up completely. It needs to be able to breathe a little bit. So what I'm thinking is we should be able to put this down in there, or put the SAM unit down in there, kind of seal this up around the wiring. That'll still let a little bit of ventilation through there and whatnot. We'll keep an eye on it to make sure it's not getting too hot or anything. But these bags are completely waterproof, airtight, as you can see. Holds air, so that means it'll hold water out. So we'll put this in there, and like I said, that's just a little bit of extra insurance to make sure that SAM unit never gets wet again in the future. So we were going to use we had a watertight dry box, but it actually ended up being slightly too small to be able to fit in there. So we're going to go with this instead. Alright, so we're back here on the back of the GL again. So apologize for the light not being too great here. But there is our SAM unit there. As you can see what happens, I mean, it's right in the path of that red light that you're seeing on there is light coming out of the rear tail light lens. Water comes in around that seal, comes in around the path up here from the sunroof drain, and it just drips straight on this. There's usually an amp right here. The amp got fried as well whenever all the water got in here, so we just pulled that straight out. We're not worried about that right at the moment. But yeah, so what we're going to do is just try to seal this up as best we can and go from there. The only problem is, as you can see, the wide end is where all the wires plug in. Definitely easier said than done. Just trying to get it down in there as far as I can. There we go. All the way down to the bottom. I don't know if y'all can see. Let me get some light in there. That's a little better, I guess. So we've got our unit there. All the wiring heading off right there. So what we're going to do is just take the open end here. And take the open end here. Try to seal it up a little bit around those wires. That should help keep this from getting any water. So now we'll lay it in there like that, and if any water falls in, it's going to hit the dry bag and run right off. Should be able to clip this around the wires. Should help keep it, but still allow some airflow, you know, to be able to get up in there. Perfect. Alright. I think that's going to work pretty good. Still let some ventilation in there so it's not completely airtight. And we have our, this is what they installed from the factory. The manufacturing, I don't know, just seems like a quality control or just a, you know, way more, you know, corners cut in the 164 platforms versus the 163 platforms. Just kind of a sense of, you know, oh, that'll do, good enough, instead of let's take it to the next step and make sure that it's going to be good to go. But what are you going to do? Alright, so it's protected with the dry bag, but it still lets some airflow through there. We're going to put that little foam piece back down there. Put our little trim piece back on. Alright, that part there is good to go. Alright, so back to the outside here. We've already put a little bit of our Lucas treatment in there whenever we just had a little bit of diesel fuel in it. Mostly this is just an anti-gel for the winter time when you're up north, because that was all we had. We were just trying to revamp that diesel a little bit while we ran it, while we were working on it. So we went down to the gas station the other day, put 10 gallons of gas in it. So what we're going to do now is just put a little bit of the old diesel clean cetane boost in here, and this will just make sure that our injectors are good and clean and whatnot, that just generally the fuel system is in good working order. So this stuff here, the whole bottle does 100 gallons of diesel fuel, or you can put it in 50 gallons of diesel fuel if you're trying to just clean it a little bit quicker, or if it's really bad or something like that. I really don't think ours is that bad, so we're not going to pour nearly that much in there. And since we only got about, I don't know, there's probably 12 gallons of diesel in here, so there's just really no need to put all that much in there. So we'll probably put, I don't know, maybe a quarter of the bottle, something like that, you know. pretty stout, I'm not gonna lie. So yeah, so let's see, it looks like we're, oh, there's markings on the side. We'll go in milliliters since we're over here in metric territory, you know. Starts out up here. It's probably about 700 milliliters. We'll take it down to like 600. Oh, we spilled a little bit. Let me get a rag. It'll be all right. We're about to give it a bath. A little bit more on there. Yeah, we'll call that good. A little less than 600, but we'll call that good for now. Whoo! That is a stout smelling product right there. Gotta glue back on our fuel filler door here. That came off in Maine. Probably thanks to, you know, minus 50. But alright, so that's all good to go now. So let's go on ahead and hook the battery back up. We'll back her out here, get her over by the water hose so we give her a bath, because she is pretty filthy. If you don't leave tools under the hood, that usually helps on closing it. We'll just stash those away. Alright, so let's give her a quick wash here. We're over here on the side with our 74 Volvo over here, that y'all will have just seen in a short. That's going to be one of the next projects up here. But give the old girl a good hose down. Unfortunately, I ran slap over my garden nozzle the other day, so I'm going to have to just old school it here with a thumb over the hose, I reckon. Oh, got a kink. Got to get a bucket and some soap together too, I reckon. Let's get her soaked down a little bit first. Ain't got to be perfect. It's got to be better than what it was. It's covered in so much dust, you'd think this was some kind of barn find here. Maybe I should have put it on the marketplace. Barn find Mercedes. Comes with all the proper dust and dirt attached to it. For verification purposes, of course. Show that it is a true barn find, you know. Walked out one night, found it right there in the barn. Alright, let's go find a bucket and some soap. Get the old girl cleaned up. Alright, found a bucket. I think it used to have ice cream in it, but it worked. A little bit of water. Gonna be using a green, is it Rain-X brand? Yeah, green Rain-X brand soap. Just all the soap. Get on in there. Alright. Just an old shirt rag, whatever you want to call it. That filled up there. Cut that water back off for a moment. Alright. Alright, get to it, I reckon. Now, we're not trying to do some kind of crazy professional job here. Just trying to get all the grime and crap from sitting in the garage off of her. Eventually, if we're gonna take her to any car shows, represent the channel or anything like that, we'll wash her up, you know, significantly better than this. But for right now, just trying to get the grime off of her from setting. Alright, I think that's about as good as she's going to get for now. So we'll go ahead and grab some paper towels and throw some Rain-X on these windows real quick. Ooh, got to air up the tires the rest of the way too. Alright, so we got our windshield and the rest of the windows all cleaned up pretty good. She definitely needs a little bit of a polish, you know, probably headlight restoration. But there's little details, you know, we're just getting her back into the swing of things here. So first thing up that we're going to do next, throw some new wiper blades on her, because those wiper blades are, I want to say, about 3 years old. I think we put them on when we first got the main. So 28 and a 21 inch. From the looks of it, the 21 inch goes on the passenger side, 28 inch on the driver's side. So, alright, so get our new blade out here. Bunch of fancy instructions that we don't need. If I can remember correctly how this one functions. Yep. So we'll get you in there and show you real quick. So it goes in here. So what y'all are going to be doing, there's two little tabs on either end here. Little tab there and the same one on the other side. All you're going to do is squeeze those, and then the whole thing rotates down like that. Pulls right off. Super simple. These new Rain-X blades, you're going to pull on either side like that, slide it that way. That's going to take this cover off of it. And then same thing. Or it should be anyway. Oh, okay. So you have to pull this, little blue piece off here. Out of the bottom side, I do believe. Like that. This isn't going to slide in here like this and rock backwards. This one actually fits straight inside there like that. Well, there you go, and you'll hear it click. And it's on there. Don't forget to pull off your little yellow cover before you use them. Alright, so it's that here, same thing. We might actually be able to show you a little bit better on this one. Pinch the two tabs on either side, comes straight off. Get your new one out. And I'm going to pull off this cover because we're not using that style. Pull off the little blue piece under here. That's what it's going to look like. You're just going to slide it straight into there like that. Just like that. The little tab should lock in. Pull off the yellow cover off the blade. Good to go. And pick up your trash. There it is. Washer fluid. There we go. Right front and center here. Washer fluid right there. Alright. Can we do it without spilling a bunch? Oh, not a single drop so far. We might be on a good run here. Oh, we spilled a couple drops. So close. Alright, that's all good. Double check the oil. Oil looks good. Coolant looks good. I know the brake fluid is good, but we'll double check it just to make sure. Oh yeah, still good. Power steering. Our steering looks pretty good. Alright. Good to go. Well, I think that's going to do it for any sort of maintenance, getting her back up to snuff for right now. There's a few other things that we still got to do to it. The left rear door needs a window motor in there, so the door card's all pulled off of that and everything. Trying to think anything else. There's a few little details here and there. Like I said, she could use a good wax job, good polish, headlight restoration. But this will get us up and going. We actually need this because right here in the near future, we're going to be going and rescuing another vehicle that's near and dear to our hearts and bringing her back here to the old Southern Motorworks homestead. So y'all make sure you keep an eye on the channel for that coming up. But for right now, she's good to go. Let's fire it up and, you know, tool around it a little bit, take it for a spin. Alright, so that's going to do it for this episode of Southern Motorworks. Appreciate y'all hanging out with us, watching us pull Project German Tow out of the carport here, start getting her back up to snuff so we can put her back in the rotation and start using her. Like I said, we got a project we're going to be going and rescuing with her here real soon, and that'll be on the channel before too long. So y'all make sure you keep an eye out for that, and there's plenty more to come with German Tow over here. We got to, you know, do some more upgrades, give her a good polish, like I said, headlight restoration, things like that. Just kind of start getting her back up to where she was before she sat for like the last 3 years pretty much. So keep an eye on the channel for that. There'll be plenty more to come. So if y'all enjoy the content, don't forget to like and subscribe. We got bunches more projects on the way, and appreciate y'all hanging out with us. Y'all have a good one out there, and we'll see you on the next one. All right.